Welcome back to the Unpack Mindset, folks. Good to see each and every one of you. It's Monday. So, what do I have to talk about today? First of all, I want to do a shout out to all the medical professionals out there. I feel like you guys do not get enough recognition for all the things that you do. Um, Man, you're out there mitigating stuff, a lot of different things, from people's feet, from people's eyes, and all kinds of stuff, man. And you got a whole generation of people, a whole group of people out there that are just WebMDing themselves, and you guys are out there fixing whatever they looked up online. So, man, hats off to you guys. I love you, man. You guys are thought about. You know, since I've started this podcast, real quick, I used to think that I was a pretty good speaker, and I'm figuring out this stuff as I go along. And I was thinking to myself the other day, I was like, "Yeesh!" Like the minute the camera goes hot and the microphone goes hot, I just start stumbling over all my words. I forget what I'm going to talk about, but I guess that's just part of the process, right? That's part of being able to learn and just moving it right along. So, how do I feel about stumbling over my words and messing things up? Honestly, if I'm just gonna say it like this: if I can provide something good, if I make you laugh, if I can turn that frown upside down, I'm doing my job. And that's just how I see it. My content might not be as polished, as polished as I would like it to be. And I know I say all the time, but it's a process, and I'm slowly figuring it out. So where do we go from this? So I wanted to talk to you guys about the challenges of staying positive, right? Especially in the workforce, uh, in different environments where we might be surrounded by a lot of people who got a vitamin D deficiency. They're just always like in the dumps. They got this like negative disposition, and sometimes we allow that to crush us, man, to make us feel a certain way where it just kind of follows us when we get off our shift, and then we can't go to sleep because we're thinking about what someone else said or what someone else did, and we allow it to poison our joy, man, to poison our whole weekend. Have you ever known somebody who just takes their job home and and um and they just can't let it go, and then they come back and they're even angrier than they were when they first got off their shift? That to me is like is bad, man, because you start stressing out, you start getting sick. People don't realize how stress affects them physically, mentally. There's been studies out there that talk about cancer and different various diseases, and I know that it can be genetic. I'm not a medical professional by no means, but I believe that stress can lead to a lot of bad, like inflammatory responses, high cortisol, and all that. Speaking of which, corrections, right? I'll give you a quick story about how things can go sideways, right? And can stress you out. And when you have good people, they can change the trajectory of how you look at things, right? And I want to be that person too. Like I want to be that person that provides um, some type of positive trajectory where you can say, "Hey, you know what? I can look at it this way or I can look at it that way, but at what cost, right? High risk, low reward. So I'll give you a good example of how I learned to mitigate um, stress in the work environment by, like, I'll give you an incident, right? When I was a new officer, I I was working in acute care at one of the institutions up north, a level 4 institution, and we had a inmate who transferred from Pelican Bay, and this inmate, he uh he was always sizing me up, man, always sizing me up, and this was one of those type of inmates that rolled up his mattress. And for those of you who work in corrections, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you have a friend that doesn't know what I'm talking about, let them know. But this inmate, he was always rolling up his mattress, right? And he was always doing those basically like shadow boxing, but he was hitting the mattress, right? And kicking it, man. He was throwing these like high leg kicks, and he was hitting it with his knees and everything, doing combinations. Dude was fast, right? Small guy. He was a real small guy, and he was always saying stuff to me every time I'd walk by. Hey, Garcia, I'm gonna kick you in the head when the minute I can. He was always making threats, and I was always real lighthearted about it, right? Because I never took work home with me. I never allowed a lot of stuff to get to me. So one day I'm walking down the hall, and I don't know how they do it now. It's been so long. I don't know how the department does it now, but they normally have restrictions on on inmates that are real violent, right? Or that have a propensity to do crazy shit. Sorry, to do just to assault people, attack people. They just have this violent disposition about them. So there was an order to not have less than 3 people in front of that inmate's door whenever they're giving him medication, giving him food, and doing stuff like that. And that inmate had to be restrained before he was removed from his cell. He had to have leg restraints, waist restraints. Anyways, make a long story short, somebody decided that they didn't want to follow procedure. So I'm walking with my back turns. I'm at the end of the hallway, and I hear like these running footsteps behind me. Now I'm at the end of the hallway, as if it's coming towards me, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. And I turn around, and it's that inmate. Make a long story short, we start going at it, right? We start going at it, and I'll just keep it like this. I'm glad that my partners showed up, because this dude was about to whoop my ass. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I got some, and I've gotten it back. This dude was, every time this guy had a chin on him, man, and every time I would hit him, he'd kick me in the face like 2 or 3 times. Anyways, make a long story short, we get this guy down, right? This dude was fast. This dude was putting in work, and he was messing me up, man. He was messing me up. And we take this guy down, we cuff him up, and after the whole thing was done, there was blood all over the place. And one of the medical personnel and another person, you know, gets there, and they're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing beating on this poor innocent inmate?" And I was just kind of like, wow, I just got pummeled by this dude, and you're over here like, dang, like you're anyways, make a long story short, um the individuals that came onto the scene after this whole thing transpired, made, put a report out there saying that we, that myself and the people who responded to save my ass, um, were basically beating up on this inmate. So I was kind of stressed out about it, because I was like, wait a minute. All I was doing was walking down the hallway, doing my job. And this whole thing transpired. Make a long story short, the leadership there stepped up and cleared the whole thing. And they stepped up and they said they cleared it. They were able to to document what actually happened. But it was one of those things that stressed me out. It really did. Why did it stress me out? Because a lot of these things happen, right? And if we don't know how to document, if we don't know how to communicate, and if we don't know how to stay positive, all these things can affect us. And this goes to anything that you're doing, right? If you're in the medical field and you do something wrong and it wasn't your fault, right? Because things can happen. Or if you're in law enforcement on the streets, and I've always looked at as use of force incidents and things like that, they're never completely the same, right? And that's why it's important to document clearly and to communicate clearly what it is that transpired, because not every incident is the same. Anyway, so what can we walk away? What can we take away from this video? It's better to stay calm. It's better to learn your job. It's better to be even keeled. It's better to sit back sometimes after something happened and to think, okay, what happened? How am I going to explain this, because it wasn't my fault, right? Like, sometimes things happen like that. Sometimes things happen that they're out of our control. And I've seen a lot of people where they've had incidents happen at work and they end up losing their jobs because they just simply don't know how to communicate what transpired. And I'll be honest with you, I've had numerous incidents where I was shy, or not shy, but like where I failed to communicate what happened, and I ended up paying for it. So basically, this is one of those things where I want to encourage you guys to communicate better, learn your job, learn your career, learn about what it is that makes you a stronger employee, a stronger leader. And it's just one of those things that I wanted to share with you. Anyways, I got a lot of stuff to do today. I got a game to go to tonight. So thank you. If you got anything from this content, like and subscribe, ring that bell. Hey, I appreciate your support. I see what you guys are doing. But anyway, you guys have a good night. Love all of you. Man, I really stumbled over a lot of words, but oh well. It is what it is. If I turn that frown upside down, I did my job. Have a good night.